It's pretty safe to say that Coby White's first 4 NBA seasons have been pretty up and down, but over the past few weeks, it does seem like White's starting to figure things out on the court. Over Coby's last 6 games, he's averaging over 26 points per game, which is well over double his career average. Now the foundation for White's recent offensive burst has been his 3-point shooting. So far this year, Coby's shooting a solid 43% from 3. And over his recent 6-game stretch, those 3-point percentages have jumped to over 53%. Now one big factor that separates White from your typical outside shooter is that he has a ton of range.
1 of 9 for the 3.
Mechanically, Coby has a pretty low release point, bringing the ball just slightly over his shoulders, but he gets perfect timing with his lower body into his release. Notice here how White gets full extension from his knees and hips at the exact time the ball leaves his hands, which allows him to transfer power through his entire body and effortlessly let the ball go from 30. And that form is pretty similar to both Steph Curry and Trae Young, who are 2 guys that uncoincidentally also have crazy range. Now that range makes White really difficult to guard off the ball, because his man can't really afford to sit heavy and gap, because that will lead to an easy kick out in 3. Right here you'll see the 6'8" Aaron Gordon just take 1 step down and gap, but with White spotting up 8 feet behind the 3, he has no chance of recovering back out. Now on this play you'll see DeMar DeRozan working the clock down, and notice how Damian Lillard is going to come double the ball, which now forces Giannis to rotate out and pick up White. But again, look how spaced out Coby is here, and even with the 6'11" Giannis getting both feet outside of the 3, he still can't effectively cover all this ground. Now White is much more than just your typical spot-up shooter, having the ability to work off screens and find his shooting base to then elevate up for balanced jumpers. You'll see him here working off this flare screen, and notice how this pass is pretty off the mark, forcing White to extend all the way up to grab the ball. But from here, watch how smoothly Coby finds his shooting base, to then rise up for a stable in-rhythm jumper. Now Coby also generates a good amount of 3s off the dribble, and for this year he's shooting an impressive 43% on all his pull-up 3s. And what I think really makes those percentages so high is Coby's shot selection. Most of White's pull-up 3s come in the flow of the game, either getting these fly-by 1-dribble pull-ups, or elevating up and pick and roll if the big is sagged too far back.
His first double-double against the Bulls.
And White also has all those step back and separation moves in his bag. One of his go-to moves is his left to right between step back, where he pushes the defense back by planting off that right foot. Then he's going to push off that foot to separate. This move here is tough, where Coby is going to refuse to screen by getting to a right to left crossover. And watch how he slams the brakes by bringing that right foot across and planting off it. Then from here he's going to get back to that right to left between and separate for this 3. So overall, White is a real outside scoring threat, being able to generate points both off the dribble and catch, while being able to do all that from scary range. And that outside scoring threat in return opens up Coby's downhill attacking, and we can really see that in White's pick and roll game, where Coby's range forces teams to pick him up 30 feet from the basket, which gives him the automatic advantage to explode into driving angles. On this play you'll see Coby working off the screen in semi-transition, and notice how his shooting threat pulls DeAndre Jordan outside of the 3, and from here he has no chance of containing White off the bounce. Look at this play. You'll now see Coby working off these staggered screens, and as he comes off, notice how he lifts both his eyes and his shoulders up, which pulls Brook Lopez out towards the 3 and gives Coby another blow-by. Now with the ball, I also think White has massively improved his pace, playing at different speeds to throw off the defense. Right here you'll see Bobby Portis slide up to meet Coby at the level of the screen, but watch how White is going to bounce up and float to his left, to then re-attack through this gap. This is also a nice move here, where Coby's now going up against the alien Victor Wembanyama, and watch how Coby is going to pound the ball with his right, and transfer his weight from his right to left foot, selling as if he's about to pull out and reset the offense. But notice how this just slightly lifts Victor out of his stance, which now allows Coby to push off his left foot and blow past him into this layup. Now most of these change of pace moves are pretty simple. Like on this play, we have White playing against Giannis one-on-one. And notice how upright and casual White is with the ball. And all he's going to do from here is drop his level and dust Giannis on the perimeter. Then watch how Coby is going to jump early off his ball side foot to get this layup off before Brook Lopez can slide over. So another huge part in White's pick and roll game is going to be his passing. But if you want to see my breakdown of White's playmaking, that video is going to be exclusively on my Patreon, where you can get access to all my exclusive videos, including my analysis of Coby's passing. But moving on, the next thing we have to go over is White's improved strength. White this year has been much more stable with the ball, being able to handle physical defense and maintain control of the ball to carve out driving angles. You'll see White here going against the bigger and more physical Christian Braun. And watch how Coby pushes the ball to his left hand. Then he's going to skip his feet up to build momentum and push himself into this drive. And notice how White puts his forearm into Christian's body to then veer into him with these long strides and get this finish at the rim. Now he's matched up against a smaller Cameron Payne. And watch how White is going to pivot his right foot across his frame to then drive his shoulder right through Cameron Payne's body and draw this foul at the rim. Now when getting into these drives, Coby's also been very quick and decisive with his reads. Just simply reading angles, then making quick and decisive moves. Right here, you'll again see Coby going at Victor Wembanyama, and watch how he just simply attacks his top foot and blows right past him into this drive. This is another simple and effective move, where White turns the corner off the screen, then drops down into an in and out. And from here, notice how all his weight is loaded on his outside foot, which allows White to explode into this crossover. Now Coby's improved strength also upgrades his finishing around the basket, being able to absorb contact in the deep paint and keep his driving line to muscle his way into finishes. You'll see him on this play easily rip past Dame on the perimeter, and as he picks up into this finish, notice how White veers into the shot blocker to create this finishing angle back towards his left. Look at this play. You'll see Coby turn the corner off the screen, and instead of settling for a more difficult floater or push shot, watch how he euros into traffic and draws a foul. So White's combination of having both pace and stability with the ball opens up windows for him to create in the mid-range. And again, everything comes back to White's outside shooting threat, which forces defenders to primarily fight over his screens, which then gives White all this in-between space to create pull-ups.
That they should win a championship this year.
Right here, notice how this defender is chasing White over the screen, while Lopez is waiting for him to drop. So White's going to use his eyes to sell this pocket pass, which briefly freezes these two defenders, and allows him to step into an in-rhythm 8-foot jumper. And that strength also allows White to stay on balance while working his way to spots. Watch him here get to this right to left crossover, then put his body weight into the defense, to then work his way to the elbow, and rise up for another jumper. Now another big factor that makes White extremely valuable to Chicago's offense is that he can be just as effective playing off the ball. We've already gone over how effective Coby is at spreading the floor with his outside shooting. But when spotting up, White can also leverage that outside scoring threat to initiate drives off the catch. When attacking closeouts, White is elite at feeling the defense's momentum and attacking into their gravity to get downhill. Right here, notice how Aaron Gordon is heavily closing out towards Coby's left side. So in response, watch how he's going to rip back towards his right and immediately get past him with his dribble. Then White's going to pound the ball and explode right through this gap into a finish. You'll see him use that same pound dribble here, where White again lets the closeout fly by, then he's going to pick up the ball right past the help, to then stride into the paint. White's also very good at building momentum off the catch. On this play, notice when he catches this swing pass, how he skips his feet up, which allows White to pick up a head of steam and push himself into this open space. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please feel free to subscribe. The kid's here.